Hallo liebe Freunde, hello everyone. Are you thinking about learning German but not sure where to start? Or maybe you've tried it already but found it too overwhelming? Trust me, I've been there. And in this video, I'm sharing how exactly I would start learning German if I could do it all over again. What mistakes to avoid, what shortcuts really work, and most importantly, how to make learning German easier and more enjoyable. If you want to start speaking German faster than you thought, then keep watching and let's start the video. I want to start with why learn German. First of all, learning German is so worth it. It's one of the most widely spoken languages in Europe and it opens doors to many travel opportunities, career benefits, and cultural experiences. Plus, if you love precision, structure, and long compound words, this is the language for you. But seriously, don't let the reputation of German being hard scare you off. It's not harder than any other language if you approach it the right way. If you live in Europe, if you want to move to Europe, knowing German is such a huge advantage because many companies are looking for employees who speak both English and German. When I was starting learning German, I thought that I didn't really need it because if I knew English, I was already good. And if I go to Germany, like because I know English, I would be okay because everybody speaks English, right? But we know it's not true. Yes, people speak English, but not everyone. That's the first thing. And the second thing, if you want to live in a country where German is spoken, you have to learn German in order to communicate to people at a little bit deeper level. And now I want to move to the next part, which is more like a stereotype that German is cold and strict. Ordnung muss sein. This literally translates to there must be order, and it is a well-known German phrase that embodies the cultural stereotype of Germans loving structure and rules and organization. But this phrase is often used humorously just to exaggerate this stereotype of Germans being overly precise and obsessed with order. In reality, they are normal people just like us. Yes, they like order, but at the same time, if you know these people a little bit better, they open up as very friendly, very warm-hearted people, and this is surprisingly good. So if you ever go to Germany and you get to know German people on a deeper level, even you will see that these people are not as strict and not as cold as they are thought to be. But yeah, let's move to the language a little bit. I want to talk about where to start first, and I want to use a famous German proverb here, which translates to English as practice makes perfect. Yeah, Übung macht den Meister. So, first of all, be ready to be consistent and to practice regularly. But where do we start? There are some basic grammar points that you have to pay a lot of attention to in order to make German easier for yourself. And the first thing here is genders. We know that German has masculine, feminine, and neuter genders, and it is different from English, of course. So we have to learn how to determine the gender of the word, or if it's not determinable by the ending, we have to learn what gender this word is. So this is quite important. And the next important thing is case system. This might be very difficult for people who don't have cases in their own language, a little bit easier for people who have cases in their own language. But yeah, German has four main cases, which are nominative, accusative, dative, and genitive. So you have to learn these four cases and you have to learn when and how we use them. Another tricky thing that you may encounter while learning language is the word order. Word order may be different because sometimes the verb would go to the end, the prefixes would go to the end, and yeah, it's just different from English, it's different from many other languages. So just pay attention and try to understand early on what kind of word order is there in German language. And the next thing to focus on is verb conjugation. Start with the present tenses, and then as you move forward to past tenses, to future tenses, you will encounter such thing as irregular verbs. This is not something new to English speakers. We also have, I'm an English speaker. We also have irregular verbs in English, so you will have to memorize these irregular verbs and know how to use them. So the main things here are genders, case system, word order, verb conjugation, irregular verbs. The next part I want to move on to is building vocabulary, and here I cannot stress this enough. Learn the most common words and phrases first. You need to aim for around 1000 words that you will use on daily basis, like in your everyday life. With these words, you also need to learn common phrases that you use, like Lego parts, to construct the sentences. These phrases are like ich möchte, I want, or wo ist, where is something, yeah. And then you can construct a lot of sentences with the words you've learned, the phrases you learned. Just focus on high frequency vocabulary, like greetings, numbers, times, people, friends, family, irregular verbs, essential adjectives like good, schlecht, groß, klein, and so on. So all of these words are very, very important at the beginning. You have to learn them once you start learning German, and then move on to some more complex words. And here I want to move to one myth that German words are too long, like it's too hard to learn. Yes, there are extremely long words in German, but let's look at one of the examples here. Can you read this word? Let's read it together. Arbeiterunfallversicherungsgesetz. Arbeiterunfallversicherungsgesetz. Okay, the word is long, but if we look at this word closely, it consists of 4 small words. Arbeiter, worker, Unfall, accident, Versicherung, insurance, and Gesetz, law or act. And what this word means is Workers' Accident Insurance Act. So it's not that hard at the end. Yes, Germans love compound words, but they always make sense. They're very logical. So this long word, it just consists of 4 other words which they combine together and get this like one thing. Yeah. So it's quite easy if you look at it this way. Let's move to another thing that I wish I knew earlier. Nowadays a lot of people know about this, but you have to have a lot of speaking practice and you have to immerse yourself into this language. When I was starting learning German, I was studying with a textbook, and I had 2 lessons per week with my tutor, and I would always do my homework right before the lesson, like just to avoid my tutor being angry because I didn't do my homework. And of course it was wrong. If I were more consistent, and if I would have immersed myself like into German practice more often, I would have learned German so much faster. So nowadays we have so many opportunities to immerse ourselves. At that time I thought that in order to immerse myself in German language, I have to live in Germany. I have to go there. And this is so not true. Like, of course not. You can immerse yourself just sitting in your room. As long as you have Wi-Fi, as long as you have internet connection, you're good to go. How do we immerse ourselves? A lot of different ways. One of them is listening to music in German. What I started doing first is listening to Rammstein songs, and it's a good way to learn German, but I think they are to blame a little bit for the stereotype of German language being aggressive. But okay, I liked listening to this song, but you don't just listen to the song and enjoy it. Yeah, you look at the lyrics at the same time, and you translate the words that you don't know, so you have to understand every word and what the song is about. And then as you listen to it and you understand it, you can learn it even by heart. Yeah, if you listen to it a lot of times, and this is a good way to learn a lot of new German words. Another way is reading, of course. You can start with reading children's books, you can start with reading short articles, or you can take like articles from famous magazines and ask ChatGPT to adapt it to your level, to make it look like an article for a beginner in German, and you will get the same information but in a simplified language. We can read some self-help books in German, and yeah, just don't start with novels, don't start with something too complicated, but you have to read. Another way is, of course, watching series, watching movies in German. There are a lot of great series and movies nowadays, and you can watch it with subtitles. So just make sure that you understand it's not going to be the same experience as if you were watching it in your native language. You're not going to just sit back, relax, and enjoy your favorite series. It's not going to work like this. If you decide to watch something in German, you have to take your notebook, take a pen, and get ready to make some notes. You will have to pause sometimes, you'll have to translate something. So it's a language learning process. It's not watching a movie and enjoying it. And if you do this, later on you'll be able to just turn on the movie and sit back and relax watching it in German. But for starters, we have to put some effort into this process. These are some ways of immersing yourself in the language, but one of the most important ways is speaking, of course. If you live in Germany, you're lucky, or if you live in another German-speaking country like Austria, Switzerland, like Belgium, you are lucky because you have native speakers around you. You can go to the restaurant and talk to the waiter. You can go to the shop and talk to the cashier or somebody. You can go outside and just pretend being a foreigner. Yeah, you are a foreigner, but you can pretend that you are lost and ask people for directions, ask people some questions like where this is, where that is. And of course, you can make some friends and talk to them, try talking to them in German. But if you don't live in a German-speaking country, it's not a problem at all. We can use apps where we can find language partner. We can find speaking clubs, both offline and online, German speaking clubs to practice our speaking. We can speak to ourselves. We can speak to ChatGPT, and there are like many ways to practice speaking as well. So not a problem at all. Another myth I want to move to is the German language has no sense of humor. When we watch foreign movies and they are translated into our language, it is really hard to make the joke sound as funny as it sounds in the native language of this joke. I hope I could explain it correctly. So it's really hard to understand foreign jokes sometimes because of this language barrier, because they are just not translatable. It's so hard to translate the jokes sometimes. I think it's the hardest thing to translate, which is why it may seem that people from another country have a bad sense of humor or have no sense of humor at all, but it's not true. As you learn German, as you learn more about its culture, you'll understand that there are so many cool jokes, there are funny stand-ups, there are a lot of they have sense of humor and it's funny. And I prepared a joke for you in German. Let's just read it here.
Kommt eine Frau in die Apotheke und sagt: Ich hätte gerne Acetylsalicylsäure. Darauf der Apotheker: Sie meinen Aspirin? Die Frau: Ja, genau. Ich kann mir nur dieses blöde Wort nicht merken.
A woman comes into the pharmacy and says, I would like some acetylsalicylic acid. The pharmacist replies, You mean aspirin? The woman: Yes, exactly. I just can't remember that silly word. This joke plays on the humor of overly long and complicated German words, but if we know nothing about the German language, if we know nothing about its culture, it would be too hard for us to understand that they are laughing at the long words in German, like the German lady. It is easier for her to remember the long word than the short word aspirin. And she says, "Oh, I can't remember that silly word." Yeah, so I find it really funny, and I would have never understood this joke if I didn't know about these long German words, if I didn't know anything about Germany. So I think as you get deeper into the culture, into the language, the humor opens up for you, and it's wonderful. You get so many new jokes to enjoy. Another stereotype I want to come to is I thought that I had to learn all the dialects in order to be able to speak German. Like, there are a lot of dialects in Germany, and it may seem that if you don't learn them, you will not be able to speak to people. But there is such definition as Hochdeutsch, or the standard German that is understood everywhere in German speaking countries. And if you study Hochdeutsch, you're good. You are going to be able to talk to people in different countries, in different regions of Germany, and even though they have their own dialects, they would understand that you are a foreigner and you have learned German, and you have learned probably Hochdeutsch because this is the standard German. They use it on television, on radio, in the newspapers, like everywhere. And people would speak to you using this Hochdeutsch instead of using dialects, unless they don't care. But yeah, you will be able to talk and to understand to people from different regions, from different countries. Hochdeutsch ist wie ein Schlüssel. Es passt überall. Hochdeutsch is like a key, yeah, it works everywhere, so you're good. And the last thing I want to talk about today is our mindset and motivation. Learning German, just like any other language, can be challenging, and there will be times that you will feel like you make no progress at all, and that is normal. But don't let your brain cheat you. You are making progress, even though you don't see the results right away and you don't feel it right away. As long as you stay consistent, as long as you practice regularly, you will make a huge progress, and you will not even notice how it happens that you feel like, okay, I don't understand anything I can speak, and here, you start speaking, you start understanding everything. And that's wonderful. There is one German proverb that I like very much: Geduld bringt Roses, which means patience brings roses. I find this very beautiful, and yeah, it fits here perfectly. So just be patient, just stay consistent, and you'll get a lot of roses. You will see your results at the end, that's for sure. And also, don't compare yourself to others. Everyone's journey is different, and you have to focus on yourself. Just celebrate your small wins. If you've learned something new today, it's good. If you said something like at the restaurant today, wow, that's wonderful, you are making progress, and your brain will remember it, especially if it was a little bit stressful for you. Next time it will be easier and easier. And yeah, let's just focus on our journey. Another phrase here is Der Weg ist das Ziel, which means the journey is the goal. There will be a moment when you can say, I've learned German, I can speak German, and you're going to be happy about it, of course. But this is just a moment, very quick. And before this moment, there will be a long time, like months, maybe years, until you can say this. And we don't have to suffer during this time, right? We have to enjoy this process, make this interesting, make it fun, make it enjoyable for yourself. I know that you got this. If you found this video helpful, interesting, or enjoyed it, please don't forget to like it and to subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. And share in the comments below what are your tips for learning German, or anything you want to share about this topic. Maybe you also have some stereotypes in your head or believe in some myths connected to the German language. Share in the comments, let's talk about it, and I'll see you in the next video. Bis zum nächsten Mal. Tschüss!